They say there are 3 R's: reading, writing, the road to Richmond. Well, in 1997, the road to Richmond leads through this tunnel. It's a tunnel that most drivers dream and aspire of coming through one day to possibly race in the Busch, Craftsman Truck, or Winston Cup Series. Well, those dreams are going to be modified because now they can race in the late models, cars they're familiar with. Some of the best in the late model series and some of the best of the Featherlight Modified Tour will be on hand for the Ukrop's General Mills Fall Classic 300. Well, getting through the tunnel is going to be the easy part. Once they've gotten through there, signed their passes and all, they get to the infield, but then they have to make the race, and that's going to be the tough part. Jerry Reed's in turn 2 talking about it.
Thanks, Freddie. Making the field is a major concern for all the teams here. There'll be well over 100 vying for only 42 spots. Once you make the field, you've got to make it through the race. Turn 2, right behind us, is the one that's bitten some of the best. Now we'll go down to Victory Lane with Dave C.
Thanks, Jerry. The ultimate goal is to get here, Victory Lane. There'll be a lot of top names vying for the top money, and only one of them can put it here in Victory Lane. It's been a long time since it's happened, and we'll preview it when we come back with more from the road to Richmond. Welcome back to Richmond International Raceway, as we'd affectionately like to call it, the Road to Richmond show. It's a preview of the Ukrop's General Mills Fall 300, the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Tour, as well as the NASCAR Winston Racing Series division is going to be running 150-lap events. I'm Dave C. along with Freddie Clark and Jerry Reed, and we're going to give you a lot of information to digest today. But first, we're going to start with Freddie. These late model cars is probably going to be, I'd say over 100 to just try to make the race.
96 showed up for the test session, a pretty impressive number considering a lot of them had been at Martinsville to test. It's going to be some of the best heavy hitters in the late model division, the best competition these guys will probably face all season long, and they're coming to a track where they've been wanting to come out and race. Most of these guys wanted to make it in the Busch or the Truck Series one day, but the Sawyers have brought the late models back, and they're going to be here and put up even a $200 bonus for any of the track champions that show up and sign up early to make this event. So it's going to be the best in the business. And I know a lot of people are probably wondering exactly what is a late model. The Featherlight Modifieds get a lot of publicity and all, but the late models haven't got a lot. Let's take a trip down to Townsend Racing and discuss exactly what is a late model car.
Hi, this is Rick Townsend with this edition of Tech Talk. One of the biggest questions asked is what's the difference between a late model stock car and maybe a Busch Grand National car? The basic roll cage is the same in most of the cars. One of the biggest differences is the floor pan, and the floor pan being the floorboard where you set your feet on as you ride down the road. Late model stock car has a fabricated floor pan, which means we can come in our shop here and take a piece of flat sheet metal and make the floorboard pretty much in any way we need to make it. Where a Busch or Winston Cup car has to start with a stock floor pan out of a production model car. The next thing is the bodies. The bodies on a late model stock car is a pre-formed body too. It's made out of flat laid sheet metal, which will run you about $1,000 to $1,300. A Busch or Winston Cup body, you have to start with stock factory pieces, going to run anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000. One of the other big differences is the braking system. The brakes have to be a single piston Chevrolet brake caliper or a copy of that, where a Busch and a Winston Cup can run a 4, 6, or even 8 piston caliper. One of the biggest difference in that is the price. Late model stock car brake system will run you around $1,000, where a Busch or a Winston Cup can vary from $3,500 to $10,000, depending on how good you want to stop. The other big difference is the engine in a late model stock car. They produce right at 350 horsepower and run about $13,000. A Busch or a Winston Cup motor have anywhere from 520 to 700 horsepower and will range from $30,000 to $45,000.
This edition of Tech Talk has been brought to you by Richmond International Raceway and the Ukrop's General Mills Fall 300. Those same late model cars will come here to Richmond International Raceway and have a fast race. And talking about fast, Jerry, the NASCAR Featherlight Modifieds are going to be here, and they are the fastest cars NASCAR can put on the track.
They're the fastest touring division. They've got the biggest tires, the biggest horsepower. They're open wheel. They'll race side by side, maybe 3 deep coming through the turns. Mike Stefanik, 42 career wins, is going for 2 titles, 2 touring titles, and he brings it to Richmond for the final race of the year. It's going to be the final points race. If he can win with Burnham Boilers If he can win the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Tour Championship and the NASCAR Busch North title, it's unprecedented. It's never been done. He's not the only guy to be here. I mean, Stefanik has been racing for 20 years in this tour, 89 and 91 title holder. We've got people like Mike Iwanitsko, Jan Lady, Reggie Ruggiero, Rick Fuller, and all the old names. You talk about the Richie Evans and Steve Park, who's now in Busch with the Earnhardt ride, and Satch Worley, all those names that all of the over 50 crowd love, like me.
We're going to take a quick break. Before we do, we talked to some of the drivers here during practice on what kind of setup they brought. You might be surprised what they had to say.
I'll tell you, we left our South Boston setup in this car because this car we run at South Boston, and we've changed a couple shocks and change of gear, of course, but we've changed a few things, and we got down in 2370s at one time. We put new tires on and made sort of a qualifying run, so I hope we're pretty close anyway.
Actually leaving it all up to Mars, and he's given me the pleasure of bringing my helmet and my gloves and driving it as best I can.
Well, I'll tell you, we didn't run nowhere but Southside this year, and that setup obviously is not going to work, so I kind of went to the urban household and stole a couple of secrets.
Yeah, he's got my setup in it.
Oh.
Well, we came with the setup that we had at Southampton. You know, that racetrack seems so similar to this track here at Richmond. That's what we came here with. We've changed a lot of things, and we've improved on it.
We just sort of all put our heads together and just do something together. That's basically all you can do. That's what a lot of guys did. They came and asked us. I said, yes, that's what we did.
Well, we can't bring something. We run Concord Speedway every once in a while, a little faster track. We run North Wilkesboro before, something like that.
We've been struggling a little bit. We've got some problems we've been fighting, but we're starting to work them out. I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see if we can get going a little bit better.
Generally, we take something that we're familiar with. This particular car here was the same one we ran last week. We kind of know what it takes to make it run fast, and we had a baseline set up under it last week, so we used the same baseline to start with this week.
Well, we come up here with something we run at New River, and it was terrible. So we started throwing springs left and right and come up with something pretty decent.
Well, we raced at Concord a few times, and you know, that's the next fastest racetrack that we've been on. The pole down there is like 109, so we come with our basic Concord setup.
Well, usually the setup stays pretty much the same, but you might want to go a little bit stiffer on your rear, or maybe change your cross. Also, maybe play with your front and rear percentage some. You know, it's going to be a shooting match, whoever hits the right setup, and a lot of combinations you can try, and it's going to be whoever gets the best one.
We came with what we've been running on Friday nights at Southampton Speedway and made some changes from there, and not a whole lot, and it's pretty close.
Basically, you just gas and hope you come with the right, something close, and we seem to hit it pretty good. We're still in the same setup that we came here with, and it's working pretty good, and there's a lot of other fast cars here, so it's going to be tough to make a race.
We're back with Billy Sawyer, Vice President and Secretary of Richmond International Raceway. Billy Sawyer, on November 1st, it's going to be a red letter day for Richmond and the Mid-Atlantic race fans. Tell us up front, why did Richmond get back into the late model stock car deal? We're bringing them back for the first time since 1992.
Jerry, we got back to it for a twofold reason. Number one, we think it's important that late model stock cars are showcased at a larger facility than what they normally run on a Friday or Saturday night. Number two, they need to gain the experience on a much faster racetrack so they're able to move up and progress to other NASCAR divisions. Our last venue with the late models and the modifieds was just the wrong time of the year. I thought it was a Winston Cup weekend again with a snowball fight. It just hasn't been kind. Hopefully, as you and I sit here today, we'll have weather like this on October 31st and November 1st.
Amen. Also, the double race deal with the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Tour coming back also. That is going to give the fans some great action. I mean, this is bringing both of these in at the same time. They're the fastest cars that go on the track that NASCAR tours, and this track is ideally suited to them. So your thoughts on bringing that back? You got to be excited on that one.
Yeah. Besides the fact that we've been sponsoring Tommy Baldwin, a senior on the Featherlight Tour for the last 3 or 4 years, the points championship for the modifieds has been down to the wire for the last couple of years, and unfortunately their last race of the year has just been another race at another racetrack. We feel like we bring to the table again a large facility, first-class side-by-side racing, and the points championship will garner the coverage and the media attention that the Featherweight Modified Tour drivers so desire. And if you look at today's other NASCAR divisions, in the truck, the Busch, the Winston Cup, you can name names of where all of them started. They got their start with the Northern Modifieds, the NASCAR New England Series, before it became the Featherweight Series. Again, it's an important series. It's an important stepping stone. Those guys want to step up into other NASCAR divisions just as well as our late model stock car guys do.
Right, just as Steve Park has done, and also we got to mention Mike Stefanik. He's trying to do something that nobody's ever done before. He's attempting to win 2 points titles, doing double duty in the Featherweight Modified Tour and also the Busch North Series. He has 42 career wins, and going for those 2 titles, that's something else, and that also will help showcase that series at Richmond.
Yes, it will. His title for both his Busch North car and his Featherweight Modified is Burnham Boilers. Burnham is having a large hospitality venue here in Richmond that particular weekend. It's good for Burnham. It's good for Mike Stefanik. And again, I think Richmond International Raceway can help bring the media coverage that a Mike Stefanik needs to be able to step up. Not that Mike needs to have any particular racetrack showcase his abilities, because his record speaks for that.
Yeah, 20 years, the title holder in 89 and 91. And also some of the other drivers, Mike Iwanitsko, Jan Lady, Reggie Ruggiero, Rick Fuller, and some of the names that some of the older folks like me are familiar with, Richie Evans, of course Steve Park moving into Busch with Earnhardt, Satch Worley, all those names. There's a good feel to this series, and I think the fans are looking forward to it coming. On that basis, the car count's expected for both divisions.
Car counts, when we had the open practice here for the late model stock cars October the 9th, we had 89 cars here. The day before that, they had 109 in Martinsville. We'll probably have 125 to 140 late models. NASCAR has a strong feeling that we'll probably have about 60 Featherweight Modifieds here. There's no place else they can go run. We have the only Featherweight Modified sanctioned event that weekend, and we're the only late model stock car special event that there's an entry blank being sent out by NASCAR for that particular weekend. So yeah, we'll have gobs and gobs of race cars.
Right, and a member of the RIR and Sawyer family, Clark, is going to be racing a late model stock car in this race. I know you're going to have some special feelings about that one.
Yep, Clark is my brother's son, one of the twins. Clark, he messed with the Mid-Atlantic Modifieds for a couple of years, and has been wanting to step up into a late model, and we were able to make some arrangements with the car owner to provide a car and test the waters. He practiced very well, and if he gets in the show and he's happy with his performance, and we like what we see, yeah, we're liable to go late model stock car racing next year.
All right. Ticket prices. I know the fans out there are waiting to hear about this. Give us a feel for that. I know this is going to be a super bargain.
Yep. As always here at RIR, we strive for family participation. On Friday, if you already have your Saturday ticket, it lets you in for free. Friday's admission normally would be $5. Our Saturday admission, general admission for adults and children 12 and under are free, is $25. There will be various discounts going on in the marketplace. You can visit U-Crops and get your General Mills products and present two receipts here at the box office for $5 discount. There'll be a military discount of $5. There'll be a newspaper press pass. The press pass discount will be in effect. Our good friend Paul Rakes with his magazine will have a $5 discount with Motorsports Guide. We're trying to make this, again, a family day, and if you take available of the discounts and you already buy Saturday's ticket, you're saving $10. And again, all the kids 12 and under can come out free with paying adults and make a nice day of it.
Yeah, well, also mentioning that there's one word on the title of this race. It's called the inaugural U-Crops General Mills Fall Classic 300. Inaugural means more to look forward to.
Yes,
down the road.
that's correct. We've made a long-term commitment to NASCAR for the late models as well as the modifieds. Again, it will be a featured showcase event for both divisions. and hopefully can be used as a stepping stone for some of our Friday and Saturday night local heroes to move up into other divisions.
Well, I'm going to put you in a corner here. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you have an odds-on favorite to take the late model win?
Whew. After what I've seen the last couple of weeks, man, I wouldn't take a bet on that. The purse they're paying at Martinsville, I heard y'all on the radio, they'd spend their mama out. No, they'd run over their mama for that kind of money. The purse here with $5,000 to win, and it's a good payoff all the way back through the field. No, I wouldn't dare venture with the caliber of race cars that are going to be here, the quality and quantity of race cars that are going to be here. It's just a who's who of Friday, Saturday night short track racing all up and down the Eastern Seaboard, from Dexter Knight to the Grubb brothers to Patterson, you name it, they're all going to be here. It's whoever your favorite wants to be is going to win.
And they all know how to win.
Yes, they do. Everyone that's here knows how to win, and if they don't like to run fast, they don't need to be here.
Well, we've heard some comments from drivers. They say, I love the speed. That's one thing this track brings to them. These guys don't get a chance to stretch the legs on these cars as much as they'd like to. And this has proven a point to them that they can go fast and smile.
Yeah, and the day we had to practice, all of them handled the racetrack very well. I think we only had one or two instances where we had to red flag. One of those was a blown engine, and another one, the race car just got away from the guy and he just crashed into the wall. But speed, I don't think bothered any of them. They were all very complimentary about the width of the racetrack, how smooth it was, and how quick we were able to get them in, get them unloaded, and let them get up on the racetrack and start practice. And we anticipate the same thing for October 31st to November 1st.
All right, Billy Sawyer, thank you very much for your comments. We'll be back with Freddie Clark and B.A. Wilson after these comments from some of the late model drivers and who they feel will be the driver to beat at RIR.
It's a lot of good drivers up here, a lot of good cars. Kevin Grubb and them guys, David Blankenship, Curtis Markham, we're running pretty good. You just never know.
David Blankenship.
That's a good question. Mike Buffkin's won both of the other ones. I wouldn't count him out, and I hope we're one of the better cars this time.
After today, probably saying Agnew or one of the Grubb brothers, probably odds on right now.
Well, I don't really know if you have an odds-on favorite, but you have to give it to Mike Buffkin. He won the last two here, or the last one here, and been real strong in both races here. So I think you have to look at Mike Buffkin right now.
I tell you what, the guy sitting right next to us in that yellow number 55, Kevin. He's right off the trailer. He was awesome. He's fast, you know, and he ain't slowed down all day. So
hopefully me. I hope.
It's got to be the Grubb brothers.
I guess it's going to be one of the Bush guys.
I don't know. I'd have to say Kevin Grubb. He's put in some real impressive times today.
I hope I am.
Grubb boys in the 26 car over there, and I think we might have a chance too.
I don't know. I tell you what, it looks like Kevin Grubb's awful tough over there, and that's a few cars running, but I think Kevin's been pretty fast.
I don't know. There's going to be some good drivers out here. You got Jeff Agnew. He's won probably 30 races this year. And David Hyder, David Blankenship. Be a lot of good race cars here. And I'm hoping I'll be in the middle of them.
Welcome back, everyone. Joining us right now is B.A. Wilson, a well-known late model competitor here at South Boston Speedway particularly, and he's ventured out several other places. B.A., you also stepped up to the Craftsman trucks this season, and I know you're looking forward to 1998.
Well, you know, we had two good runs. The second one ended in a mechanical failure, but we ran here good at Richmond, qualified good, and we really felt like we ran good. And Martinsville, we still qualified the same here, so we had a good qualifying effort. And I'm looking real forward to running about 10 or 12 races next year, depending. We're going to go to a bunch of them. I just don't know if we'll be able to get the full 12 in there without the right backing.
Yeah, how much backing will it take to run that schedule?
It takes about, the way we figured it out, going without having employees, like we haven't had employees, it takes you about $15,000 per race to run it right. With the tires, you have about $6,000 tire bill, and then is your motors, and so it's about $15,000 a race.
Now, getting on to the race here at Richmond, is this going to be an equipment test as well as a driver test? I mean, it's going to be a lot harder, and you've been running these vehicles all year. Engines and brakes likely to fail?
Well, I don't think the brakes are going to do nothing. I didn't even touch mine out here the other day that we practiced. The motors, you got to have a good motor, but we went to practice the Wednesday before last down here at Martinsville, and our motor was down a little bit. We knew it was, and it showed up at Martinsville a lot more than it showed up here. We were able to get the car to work real good. You've got to drive the car real hard out here with the turns you got banked like you can. You can really drive them way off in there and really get in the gas early. So I don't think the motor showed up out here as much as I was anticipating it does, because we got the car running real good there at the end of the day, and we didn't think our motor was as good as what we've been running with this year. So you're going to have to definitely have a good motor, but I think handling is going to be a big thing, being able to get way down in the corner and get back in the gas early.
I know I heard a lot of drivers, well, crew members more so than drivers, talking about David Hyder, all that muscle he showed at Martinsville, that big motor. Everybody talks about him having, said it's not going to help him much here.
Well, you know, he didn't show up. I don't know really why he didn't show up, but the way we picked up, if he's going to have to do some practice out here. I think the way the track was the other day, you know, Kevin Grubb, he was fast right off the bat, but everybody else seemed to have to work at it to get fast there at the end. So, you know, that's one of them things. He didn't come practice. I don't know if that means he's not coming or if he'll show up.
Now, what about the weather change? When you tested out here, it was in the upper 80s. It was sunny and bright. Now we're going to have a November 1st race, and it could be 20 degrees difference in weather where you have to change the car a whole lot.
Well, if it was South Boston or Martinsville or some places I'd run, I guess I would know. But being out here, I would think that you'd have to change something, but I don't know really what the difference it'll be. We're going to come back with the car exactly like we ran in practice, and then we'll change from there to see what the difference will be.
Now that you have made that step up and moved into the craftsmanship, a whole new ball game, what can you tell some of these late model drivers about possibly making that next move? What can they look forward to?
Well, the one thing, I'm just glad I went ahead and made it. I've been trying to make it, and we finally got enough backing and enough a truck to get it done. And I can tell you that the exposure that I have got out of the last 2 races is tremendous compared to anything I've ever done. And just making that move, that, you know, it's scary to think about doing it, but it was scary when I first moved up here, trying to move up here and race a late model, but then trying to give up all you've got to go truck racing, it's kind of scary to do that because you've run good in other things. But I just had to jump off there and do it, and next year we're going to try to run as many races as we can and not focus at all on the late model and just move up and try to get our name out there. That's the main thing, is being worried about it and moving up. I think it's a good deal to go ahead and move up and make that step, because you will get a lot of recognition if you qualify and run well.
What's the first thing you noticed going from the late model to the truck? What was the difference in the handling or the setups on the truck itself? Did you find you were chasing something you never chased before?
Well, when we came out here, we had Barry Dotson that works on the number 2 truck, helped us out a ton, gave us a pretty real close setup when we came to Richmond, and we didn't change anything. We practiced out here 2 days with Ford, and the truck ran good, and we didn't have to change anything. It worked real good. So I don't know, if you didn't have any help that knew what was going on, it'd be a real tough jump. But he gave us a setup for Martinsville, and we came out. We wasn't showing real fast, but sometime when it come qualifying, I was somehow qualified good. We wasn't that good on the racetrack, but when it came race time, the truck was going to race pretty good, I think. So it's basically having the right help and the confidence that your team can go out there and do it is the main deal.
Now, what would be the best piece of advice you could possibly give these late model drivers as they make that next step? What would be the one key thing for them to focus on?
The only thing is the tires. I don't think there's that much difference in driving a truck compared to a late model other than the radial tires. The motor, you have 200 more horsepower, but it really doesn't feel like it for some reason. You really doesn't. It felt like we were driving the late models twice as hard out here at Richmond the other day as you drove a truck. So the tires, they don't feel the same as a bi-ply tire, so that's the main focus point on the whole deal.
Well, we're going to take some comments from some other drivers as we go to this break, those that have made the step up, and their comments to the ones that are getting ready to make the steps up. What do you do? What do you look forward to as you make that next step up the ladder? We'll be right back.
Wow. Is that a tough question or what? I don't know. First of all, my son used to run late model stock cars at Myrtle Beach and then Caraway and Hickory and Flood. And he did this for a couple, 3 years, and when he did not dominate at that level, then I felt like that the step, you know, the progression would be very, very tough. I just, you know, if you go to a racetrack and you don't dominate, if you run Langley or whatever racetracks you are on, if you can't win consistently, at least 50% of the time, really and truly, it's be very difficult to move to the next level. Because, I mean, folks, you watch these races on TV and you watch the cars going around the racetrack, and it looks easy because the cars look like they're so much under control. I cannot tell you how good those drivers are. I can't tell you how good the Busch drivers, the NASCAR Craftsman truck drivers, the Winston Cup drivers, I can't tell you how good they are, because they have progressed, and they've climbed those stair steps, and they learned their skills on the Saturday night races. But they had exceptional skills, and they moved up. And that's the one thing that when a late model driver moves to the next level, to bush or to truck, he can't believe how good those guys are. And so if you've got aspirations of being a Winston Cup driver, I mean, you got to focus enough to dominate at the level you're racing on.
I think the biggest thing, you've got to go to different racetracks. Like, come here, you just don't stick at one racetrack. You need to travel around, because every racetrack's different. You got to learn how to adapt to different situations, and I think that helps you more than anything.
Just get a lot of laps. This is a good series right here, a good starting point, and seat time. I still got to get a lot of it myself.
Well, I don't know. I tell you what, as far as advice, you just got to work hard, and you really got to concentrate on trying to make it. I don't know, it is tough, and it just takes a lot of experience, and you just need to get all the seat time you can get.
Basically, you know, just get patience. I mean, probably the main thing that's helped me a lot this year is just, you know, I've slowed down a lot, and I just wait for things to come to me instead of trying to make it happen.
We continue our Road to Richmond preview here for the U-Crops General Mills Fall 300. And of course, the topic right now is speed. And Freddie, a track qualifying records, it hasn't been since 1992 since either one of these divisions have been here.
That's right. And back in 1992, Curtis Markham turned the track at a 23.218 and a Buick, a speed a little over 116 miles per hour. Making the field's going to be tough in the late model division. It's going to be a lot of heavy hitters here, and you got to turn some good times just to make the show. And Dave, you had a chance to catch up with Curtis Markham during our test session, and these are his comments.
Curtis, you hold the track qualifying record for a late model stock here, and I tell you what, you're jumping back in a late model. Why is that choice?
Well, Robert Burton, I drove this car, this orange car, for 5 years, a little over 5 years, and Robert Burton, all his guys, have really been good to me over the year, and actually he probably really gave me one of my first real breaks, and he called me up and asked me if I could come down and help him out, try to get the car set up. So I didn't have anything to do today, so I love to race, so I came down here to Richmond, back to my hometown, and try to help him get it set up for the race.
So you're just setting the car up for the driver?
Well, I may drive it. I'm working on a deal to run a truck at Phoenix, and that's the same weekend. But if that deal falls through, I'm going to drive it.
Now, what's it like to get back in one of these late models and up against some of the big names in late models now? I mean, where you used to be.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, it's been a long time since I drove a late model stock car, and they drive completely different from a Busch car or a truck. And it probably took longer for me to get used to it than for the guys to get it running. It ran pretty good right off the truck, and you know, I got better and better because you got to do things totally different. But I think I'm back in the rhythm there. Maybe, you know, some of these guys they've got running these late model stock cars could run up front in a Busch car or truck right there. It's just they need the opportunity to do it. So hopefully I'll get to race and we can have fun running with them.
When you talk about speed, you have to talk about the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Tour, and the track qualifying record holder is Mike Stefanik with a 21.483 second lap. That's almost 126 miles an hour, fans. That's fast around this 3/4 mile tri-oval. And I tell you what, Jerry, we got a new sponsor on board, and they produce a lot of good stuff.
General Mills, let's just say that the road to Richmond is paved with Wheaties, Bisquick, and Cheerios. And that's not all. 57 products that this company has produced throughout its history. It started out with Cadwallader C. Washburn in 1866, to give you a little history of America along with us on the road to Richmond. And 130 plus years, these people have been producing products, consumer products like Gold Medal Flour, Betty Crocker, Wheaties, Bisquick, Cheerios. And in the 80s and 90s, they went off to other retail areas, and they came back to their roots, which was food and consumer products. This is the inaugural U-Crops General Mills 300. The inaugural word means a lot because that means General Mills is on board for more than just 1 year.
Well, guys, you know what? There's a lot of good guys coming here. I mean, over 60 modifieds about ready to show up, and they're having a great points battle. As far as late model goes, the David Hyders, the David Blankenships, the Jeff Agnews, man, the list goes on and on.
It's going to be a great list of drivers. Some of the best in the region are going to be here. Fans from all over the region should flock in. It's going to be your last chance to see speed in this area for the 1997 season. This is going to wrap everything up in this region.
And some of these guys are talking about the fact that at the speeds that they're turning, the 114, 115, 116 mile an hour range, they're just a little bit on the edge, but they're all grinning and saying, I want to go faster, I want to see more RPMs.
In fact, let's go and hear some more comments from some of our drivers.
What drives you to win the race? The prestige, the money, or the fact that you're trying to beat the best?
We're trying to pay the tire bill. If we can pay the tire bill, we're in good shape. Well, I tell you, you come here and there's about 100 and some cars here today. I tell you, when you outrun 100 and some cars and win that, I mean, you've really done something then. The money, I don't know how much you're paying here yet, but I tell you, it's really prestigious too. They just outrun 100 cars.
I think it's a little of all. I don't think they're going to pay the winner that much. I think they're going to pay on down through the field, which is the better way of going about it. So everybody gets paid good. But I think it's beating all the best. You know, there's some good guys here.
I think it's a combo, I tell you. You know, you're out here, it's always a lot of fun when you come to a big, nice racetrack like this and run against, you know, people that you don't get to race against every week. You know, people like David Hyder and Jeff Agnew, people like that, and you know, people that win races at tracks that you don't race at. So you get to see how good your stuff is, really.
Well, you know, the prestige. Naturally, everybody here wants to do good because the majority of the people here want to move on to the Busch Grand National or the trucks or the All-Pro Series. And, you know, if you can beat the best in late model stock, then you're ready for the next level.
You know, it's a big race. Get to run on the track the Winston Cup cars run on. It's a lot better speed, money, everything, you know, all of it.
I just love the race, you know. The money doesn't really mean that much to us. You know, we've got decent sponsors on the car, Tom's Minimar, Wilkinson Wood, Simplicity Timber, a lot of guys are behind us. But the biggest thing is just hoping that somebody will see us run, hoping somebody will try to get me in a truck or a Busch car. That's my ultimate goal.
For us, it's for me and Kevin, we just want to beat the best, basically. You know, it's just a big race. People come from all around. Yeah, the money's nice to get, but really this Richmond race isn't paying as much as like Martinsville or whatever. And so we're coming out here to beat the best of the best. You know, we want to be the best, so that's what we're going to try to do.
Well, you know, our sponsor, Ashton Ford's right here from Richmond. We have a lot of fans here in Richmond. We also have Coleman Racing, who owns the car. He's from Richmond, so he owns Special Hygiene, and with all these people, we want to try and get it out here and do the best we can. And Townsend Racing Products, they're also here. And there's just a lot of people here in Richmond, and we'd like to come out here and do good.
It's awful satisfying when you can win a race with as much competition as you have here, and if you win around here, you know you beat the best.
Well, the competition level probably running on a larger track than we normally run on to get the experience there.
I like the speed. This is probably the fastest place the late models are going to run on, and it's the first time I've had a chance to run this type of speed. I love it. Just to have a chance to win the race would be great.
Welcome back to the Road to Richmond, a preview of the U-Crops General Mills Fall 300. Right now we're here with what everybody considers to be one of the favorites, if not the favorite for the race, Kevin Grubb. Kevin, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you know, coming back here to Richmond, it's a homecoming. Obviously you live here, but you've also run the Busch and the Craftsman Truck Series events here. Do you think that that's going to play a big hand in how you approach this race?
Well, I'll tell you, being that I have run the Busch cars and trucks out here, I have a little more experience with the racetrack, but you're running a lot different with the late models, but I'm more familiar with the speeds and things like that, but definitely it's just going to help me.
Well, we took a lap around Richmond and at slow speeds, and we're going to let Kevin talk about it just a little bit.
All right, you head down the front stretch and you're steadily turning to the left, as you can see on the tri-oval, and you're going into one, you back out somewhere around this area, running about 130 mile an hour, and you start bringing the car down and pick the throttle right back up. And then the object right here is to try and get a straight line up off a corner as you'll see, the banking goes away from you real fast right here and tries to throw you to the outside retaining wall. Then you got a nice flat back stretch. You head down here just wide open. And you approach turn number 3. And right as you start down the corner, you'll back all the way out the throttle and start turning left down. You try and get it to the bottom, you pick the throttle right back up, then you keep it going towards the bottom. And off 4, there's a lot of racetrack. You can just go ahead and let the car move right on up the racetrack, and you're back on the front stretch heading to the start-finish line.
Kevin, on this 3/4 of a mile D-shaped oval, does it take a different line to be fast?
I'll tell you, it's a lot different than most short tracks that we run. Yeah, it's more based on momentum than it is, you know, quick on and off the gas. You kind of let off the gas a little slower and you roll back into it. Just try and be smooth. And I've had a little experience with that on the bigger tracks with the Busch cars, and that helped me a lot when I came out here because I felt like I was driving a Busch car as far as the way I work the gas and brake.
Now, is there a track on the late model scene that you can equate or even closely to this?
No, actually not at all, because you got a different feeling with the car because you're running faster. You know, there's definitely higher speeds, and therefore the car reacts a lot different. And you know, as far as the shape, you drive it a lot like you do Southampton Speedway, but like I said, it's different as far as speed, so it's a different feeling, but you're just used to making the same turns.
Now, Kevin, we got to put a camera into his car during practice, and we went full speed with the young grub, and we're going to take a look at that right now. The speeds that you were running out in practice, I noticed to look at the clock on one of your crew members' stopwatches, and it was average of about 113 miles an hour. How fast are you going here?
I'm not real sure. I'm probably guessing around 130 at the end of the straightaways, and you're really not slowing down too much in the middle of corners. In most tracks, you get on the brake a lot and slow the car down, and then turn it, and then you go back down the straight. But here, you just try and keep your speed up to the center of the corner. You're not off the gas very long at all. You'll back out and maybe touch the brake a little bit, but then you get right back on the gas while you're still going into the corner.
Do you think that you're running in the Busch and Craftsman truck and coming out here to test will give you an advantage over those that didn't come here and test?
Definitely. We got to come out here and make long runs and also some short runs and even some qualifying runs. So, you know, the guys who come out here just for a race, you know, you'll get some practice, but it won't be near as much as we got to when we come out here to test.
Now, this time of the year, these big money races, how important is it to a late model driver?
I'll tell you, if you want to have a good streak going, now's the time of year to do it. Like you said, it's all money. There's no points involved, so you definitely want to run good. And you're running against all these people that you hear about all year, you know, at the different racetracks that you don't ever get to see. But here at the end of the year at Martinsville and here at Richmond and all the other big races, everybody's here. I mean, there'll probably be 150 cars here and also at Martinsville.
What is so exciting about bringing a late model to Richmond International Raceway?
Probably just the fact that, you know, it's not something that's done very often. Most time late model, about the biggest track you run on is a half mile. And, you know, here you got a whole other quarter-mile racetrack, and that's due for a lot of speed and a lot of good racing.
Now, where do you see this late model division heading? Do you see it heading towards more big money races, or do you see it staying with a points battle?
I kind of see it going to the more big money races because this year we traveled around a lot. I didn't race for points anywhere. We just, you know, just chased the money pretty much all year, and I've had a great year at it. Had a lot of fun, gotten to learn how to race different racetracks and race against different people every week. And it seems like every year more and more people are starting to go that way, starting to get away from the points and get stuck at one track every year and starting to chase the money.
Kevin, good luck on that race. Folks, we had a chance to talk to a bunch of late model drivers and ask them that same question. Now, do you see more and more late model drivers going for these big money races and away from the track points championships?
Yeah, there's several, you know, people that just run, you know, the big races and don't go for the track champion. And, you know, it just depends on if you're running for the money or, you know, you're just running for, you know, to be a champion somewhere.
It's too easy to get hung up at one track running for points, and you don't get no experience on the tracks where you need to.
Well, I'm
hoping the local tracks have a big place like Southside and Langley. I mean, that's a place you can go run every week and have fun and not pull everybody away, but it's fun running these events too.
Well, I tell you, I don't really know what you're going to see in the future, but I know that it's awful nice at the end of the year when you do run for the points. You get some money that comes in late in the year. That makes running for the points real nice and makes you think about it twice as the time goes on during the year. But the way late model stock car racing's getting, it's all competitive. It's a growing series. It's also an exciting series, and I don't see any reason why they couldn't carry their own forte and have their own division and run around the different racetracks around the nation.
This division needs these kind of races. There's more television coverage, more overall coverage on these type races than it is a guy that stays at a weekly racetrack like I've done over the years and win a bunch of championships. You know, 10-track championships, you know, under my belt doesn't do me any good. Coming to a different racetracks, weekend here, weekend there, different ones, getting a setup wherever you go. That's what makes the other the racers in other divisions look at you as a good race car driver.
You know, you're talking about Martinsville, 25 grand, and this one's, I think, 5 grand. That's a lot of money. If people could see their way of making a little bit, that's what they'll do.
Well, events like what we're running here are going to do nothing but help these drivers get good sponsorships so they can pay for their season and they can keep up with it all season. And it gives these guys a chance to really show what they've got, because there are some very impressive drivers in this division. We've been to 13 different racetracks: Concord, Martinsville, South Boston, Orange County, Myrtle Beach, Ace, you know, just wherever that the Atlantic Seaboard and some of the Blue Ridge region tracks were. You know, we went all out this year for the big money and didn't run for any points.
Tough question. As long as Winston keeps putting up the money, you know, they're going to keep racing the local short track stuff. If that goes away, really no reason not to go travel a little bit.
It's so hard just to come. If you don't have a good sponsor, which a lot of the teams don't, I mean, you got to go where the money is. So you got to do that just to stay in racing.
It's unfortunate at times because it seems like that you know, it might drop the fields a little bit, but a lot of the guys started doing that more so this year than any other year. And I haven't really noticed where, you know, they still got 24, 25, 26 cars on a regular basis. So, yeah, I think the time's coming here and in the future sometime. I don't know when, but most of the guys are picking the larger shows. You know, you're going to spend the money to go race one race, you might as well race for enough money to make it worthwhile. That's the way they look at it. Points battles are great, but a lot of these guys that are doing that's already won points battles everywhere, so it's kind of a new challenge.
Late model stock car drivers want to get to the top. We visited some drivers in the Busch Grand National Garage earlier this year at Richmond and asked them some questions about what it takes to get there and sometimes what it takes to stay there. There are no guarantees in the racing game.
I dedicated my whole life to the sport of auto racing, and I just never gave up. I wanted to be in the South sooner or later, and I just worked 24 hours a day if that's what it took, and fortunately I was one of the lucky ones and got a break. But you can be a hero today, a zero tomorrow. I mean, that's just the way this sport is. Right now I'm on a high, but who knows? Next year I could be out of a ride. You just never know in this sport. Just don't give up and keep plugging, and you'll get there.
Probably win the championship last year. I think it made people recognize Randy LaJoy that there is talent there and he can get the job done. So winning the championship proved a lot of folks that what I've always believed in myself, that I could do it. And by doing it last year, it proved a lot of other folks that I could do it.
Well, probably the biggest thing is the fact that I've got with a really good race team and great sponsorship with Barbasol, and you know, there's a lot of ingredients that goes into putting a successful program together, not just race car driver or engine builder or cars, and we've got a good group here. We have the financial backing that we need and have the support from the people, and they're very focused on what we're doing. So I'd say the biggest thing that's helped me is get with a good race team.
Well, this never give up is the biggest thing. I tell you, the last couple of years have been pretty tough for me in the Busch Series. We've struggled a lot and had some, you know, some bad things happen. And, you know, I just keep after and keep digging and keep working. And you know, just have faith in your ability and know that you can do it, and just keep working, trying to get the right people in the right places, and keep your head up, you know, and regardless of what kind of racing you do or what circuit you race on, you just got to stay after it, and if you work hard enough, and not always things are not going to happen, but you can make things happen, and eventually things will come around.
Well, I don't know. I'm still trying real hard to get to the top. I guess the biggest thing was race a lot. Back up in Wisconsin, we used to race 4 to 5 nights a week on some weeks, and we ran a lot of different racetracks with, you know, from half miles to quarter miles and everything else. And then I started running the ASA series last year, and that helped a lot because you could travel out and get to a lot of different racetracks. So I guess the biggest thing is race as much as you can and try to win it, whatever you do.
What's the best thing? Well, I think the best thing I've done this year is win 2 races. It kind of impresses the boss and makes sure that you have a job a year later. But I think getting to the Busch Series was probably some of the runs that we had up at New Hampshire and Watkins Glen that kind of impressed Dale Earnhardt to maybe give me the opportunity to come and race for him. And I think maybe running into the leader on the last lap up at Watkins Glen and lifting the back of his car off the ground. They said Dale jumped up and down, was applauding that, and kind of maybe like that or something. But whatever the case may be, I'm just real thankful to Dale and Teresa. They've given me a great opportunity, and AC Delco and all the people from Chevrolet and the Monte Carlo people. And we're just having a great rookie season, and we're just looking forward to running good down here in Richmond and trying to finish up this rookie year on a high note and try to win a championship.
Well, guys, we've covered everything from bugles to Wheaties and everything in between.
And lots of horsepower.
And that's what it's going to take, I think, here. We've heard different situations where some people say that it's not going to take a lot of horsepower. We say some that's going to take a lot of horsepower. It's going to be handling. It's kind of a super speedway with short track tendency, even for the late models.
That's right. You know, we talked to Kevin Grubb, B.A. Wilson. Both of them said that there's going to be some advantage to being here and have tested during that test session. But all those heavy hitters, the veterans of the sport, they're able to figure these tracks out. Guys like Wayne Patterson, if they show up, they'll figure this track out in a heartbeat, and they'll be tough competition.
Now remember, guys, these cars are heavy. Let's don't forget brakes. We always think about brakes at Martinsville, but the brakes will be very important here with the speed that they're carrying down into the chute. When they jump on those binders, they better be home.
Well, Jerry, I tell you, B.A. Wilson said he didn't even use his brakes, so we'll have to watch and see exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be an equipment test, it's going to be a driver test, and it's going to be the last time they can really get their sponsor out into a great media. It's going to be some good coverage for this event, so they can really post their sponsors out there and get them some coverage.
And they're coming to what we consider a mecca of Winston Cup tracks here at Richmond International Raceway. And you couldn't want a better facility.
Smooth, wide, and lightning fast.
That's what it's all about. It's going to be the best in the business. They're all going to be here November 1st at Richmond International Raceway, and they have a special ticket deal going as well.
That's right, $5 off your ticket price if you bring in a UCROPS receipt and 2 proofs of purchase from any General Mills products to the Richmond International Raceway ticket office. And the offer is good until October 28th. So they're throwing up coupons up there for you again.
A great day of family fun. Bring them out. Hopefully the weather will be like this. As Bill Sawyer had mentioned earlier, it'll be a beautiful day. We'll see some great racing. It's all happening at Richmond International Raceway November 1st. You want to be here. I'll be here. I'll be here.
And I'll definitely be here, and we hope that you'll be here. Thanks for joining us.